different. I'm trying to build an engagement, gotta keep working and putting out content. They say this was the ending, it's only the beginning. Watch me get away with murder, about to make a killing. I ain't stopping, I ain't quitting, I ain't giving up for nothing. Someone come and tell these motherfuckers I'm just getting started. I'm just getting started. It's only the beginning. Someone tell these motherfuckers I'm just getting started. Now fuck with the drama, I'm trying to fuck with some commas. I'd rather make me some dollars, I'm doing good just like my karma. Two-face, I can't trust that. You spare lies, I stay back. Heard the songs, they all whack. Telling these rappers to fall back.
Hello, 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 hello. I am really sorry. I am a little bit late right now. That I am. And that is because I don't really have an excuse. My daughter needed me and parenting comes first is the only excuse. Here is my gorgeous daughter here eating some ice cream after her dinner. You know how it is. I think that was the other day, though, so this it might not have been tonight, although she has it every single night. Anyway, how is everyone doing? I hope you are all doing very, very well. I hope you can hear me. I got a new microphone for Christmas. It has been really fun, although I am still kind of learning how to use it. So do forgive me if sound is still a little bit off for a little while. Anyway, tonight I wanted to just have a little chat about homeschooling at home. During this pandemic, I had a talk about this, or I did a video about this, or both, I believe. Um, since this has all been going on, and I've been seeing a lot of people actually on social media recently asking again because I don't know about where you are, but where I am, which is Ottawa in Canada, very big city. But we are under lockdown right now, and we are under lockdown until at least January 11th. And so schools, if your kids are going into the school for their schooling, which they are still, open, but they're closed down till the 11th or until further notice. So even the parents who are sending their kids to school are kind of stuck right now. There's been a lot of posts on social media about, what have you seen anything I could be doing with my kid? Do you guys know any websites? I'm really upset. I'm scared my kid's going to fall behind. And of course, that is a normal worry. I think as parents, we are all freaking out about this. I know I was freaking out about it last year because last year they just stopped school and the school year ended early. And it was like, oh no, what are we going to do? They didn't have anything set up yet. And so a lot of parents were kind of just left like waiting to see when we were going to go back, sending these kids back to school. And I think that this is so hard for us because we have never experienced anything like this, of course. We have never been in a lockdown. We've never had such a pandemic, and we haven't ever experienced this much stress. It's a lot of stress. There's a lot of parents that work outside of the home right now. I am a little bit lucky with my situation because I work from home. My husband is actually home right now waiting for back surgery and on work leave while he does that. And so I wasn't in as bad of a position as some of my friends where, they both parents work. And so it became a lot harder for those families. And I totally feel for that. I don't know what we would be doing right now if we both worked out of the home and we're both in jobs right now and then this was all going on. I really hope that the parents out there who are going through this have really great workplaces. I know that there are people that have lost their jobs. I think that that sucks. I don't think this is the time that anybody should be getting rid of anybody. But unfortunately, with a lockdown, a lot of the businesses closed down, and I hope that people are able to get leave. Here in Canada, we're pretty lucky. I'm not 100% sure about the UK, and I hear the US isn't as lucky. So I'm sorry. I know that people in the US are actually probably struggling a lot more than those of us in Canada, at least. We do have funds that we can get, and our government tends to be a lot more helpful in times like these. So I think it would be helpful if we would all kind of just have a talk, have a chat, put it out into the world that parents are not alone in this. First of all, you're not alone in freaking out, because I know that a lot of parents, when they got the news here that we're going into lockdown again, and I know that there's other places that are also in lockdown, like it's not just where I am. Even in the US, I hear there's lockdowns going on again, and UK again. So I know that it's very, very hard. And the hard thing about this one is that it happened right at Christmas time. And so, when do families need money again the most? After Christmas. We spend money on our kids, we spend money on the meal, we spend money on the holiday, and it's right after a whole bunch of all holidays like Thanksgiving, and it's just seems like a bunch of money gets spent, and then we go on lockdown, and now a lot of us are struggling, and that's of course a really shitty thing. Um and then when you get told that your kid is going to have to be at home for longer than you planned, and we honestly didn't get the news, I mean, as early as we would have liked. They did the best they could. I don't think they could have really let us know earlier. They told us as soon as we decided that we were going to be going on another lockdown, but all of this has been decided so quickly. Like, I feel like they announce the lockdown for like 3 days before it's going to happen. You kind of know it might happen. There's talk about it, and then you don't know anything, and then they're like, okay, so next week we're starting lockdown. You're like, oh, okay. So, it doesn't give families a lot of time to plan. It doesn't give families a lot of time to plan if you're working outside of the home for who's going to watch your kid. It doesn't give families a lot of time to plan, the extra activities for a week. I mean, let's be honest. A lot of us have our kids home for the Christmas holidays. It's really great. We love it. But by the time they're going to go back, we're pulling our hair out. Like, please do take our children back to school. And the funny thing about the situation right now, sorry, I need a drink. The joy of live streams is that I can't edit that out. But the thing about our situation right now is that a lot of us are homeschooling. So we didn't really get a break. We have just had our kids at home the entire time doing school on the computer. And again, I feel a little bit lucky in my situation because I have been an educational assistant in my past. Not for a job, but I did do it during my placement in college. And trust me, the 6 months of doing that has really come into play. Really come into play. Because my daughter is on the lower end of the spectrum. Again, I am lucky she is on the lower end because, it's not as much of a struggle for me as some parents have, and I do recognize that as well. But my whole thing is, how come so many dislikes? Oh, trolls. I have a lot of trolls and like Huns and pseudoscience lovers and, the like. They like to come dislike me. And so basically what's going on right now with all of this is, I lost my train of thought there for a second, I'm sorry, is what's happening is we don't really get a break. So our kids have just been home. We're kind of stressing out. I've been a little bit lucky because I know a little bit about educating, and oh yes, that's where I was. My child is on the low end of the spectrum. Now, I've had some judgments on me because my daughter has some sensory issues. She does not like to wear clothes, and it is hellish to brush her hair. It is a two-person job in which my husband has to basically hold her while I brush her hair. And doing that before school on the computer right in our home, it causes us a lot of problems. Sometimes you have to pick your battles, right? So it's like, is it more important for my kid to wear pants this morning or for us to brush her hair and then have a big screaming, crying match? You know, you just got to pick your battles. And I know that there's other families going through this. And one of the issues with doing things at home, especially when you're not used to it and your kid's not used to it, is there's almost no separation. I don't know if anyone else is struggling with this, which is kind of why I want to put it out there because, I sat down and I've been thinking of all of the things that, could possibly be stressful and then also some of the things that were good. Okay. I'm not just going to be a negative Nancy on here. And that was one of the things that I'm struggling with. So, due to my daughter being low on the spectrum, one of the things that she struggles with is kind of like changing activities. So when she has to change from one activity to another activity, sometimes she might have a little bit of a meltdown because she doesn't want to stop doing what she's doing. She gets very focused. She gets very into what she's doing. And then, the teacher will be like, okay, now we're on to our next task. And so I have to be with her the whole day, doing the school with her the whole day. I do leave her for parts of the day because we're also trying to teach her independence and being able to take, the instruction without me there. Because and I'll get into this part too, but it's different when you're the mom than when you're the EA or the teacher. You know what I mean? So, for me, one of the easy things though about, the school and home thing is my daughter almost had a different attitude when she would go to school because we had made it a whole thing so that she would, be very easy to go to school and that she'd be extremely comfortable with the process because I was really nervous about her going to school and that transition of having to wake up, get dressed, eat breakfast, put on, snow pants and all that stuff in the wintertime, especially, and then, have to walk to school. It's about 10-15 minute walk. It's not that bad. And we actually have a lot of fun on the walk together. So we've actually missed that. We've missed that part of going to school by homeschooling. And the other thing it was good for is since we had fun on the walk, I'd sing, I'd dance. I'm a pretty fun mom. We play games, we sing, we dance the whole way to school. I usually end up with a group of kids behind me and their parents because we're having so much fun and I get a lineup. Anyway, it's a fun time. And so, and again, she misses that. And I kind of miss it. I have fun with it, man. Fun. So it would almost help us though to have that like in between time because it could be like we have at home Hannah and we have at school Hannah. And I kind of explained to her that at school Hannah has to, behave a little more classy than at home Hannah. And we kind of separated it as much as we could and explained to her that, she has to listen to the teacher when she's at school. The teacher is the boss, not mommy, because we went through that for a few days where she would tell the teacher, "You're not my mom." So that was like her first, like literally the first few days of her school that happened. And so that was a thing that we had to really kind of teach her and use the transition of the walking to school to kind of get her really, really like, is there drama going on? There was. I'm not paying attention to it anymore. So basically, and a lot of those videos are probably disappearing very soon. So basically, I am struggling right now because there is no at school. So I'm not getting at school Hannah. I'm getting at home Hannah, who I got to try to like get to be at school Hannah versus like on a computer screen, because the teacher and her other, students are on the screen now. And, it's neat. She can see all the other kids up there too. So at least she does get some of the social interaction and whatnot. So that's been a little bit of a struggle for us, because it's hard for you to kind of like separate at home and in school when in school enters the home. And we've just kind of gotten sort of the hang of it, because I have set her up an area, and I always did this. She's always had an area in her room that's just for school, and an area in the living room that's just for school. And if she's in those two spots, because she doesn't like just being in one room, she kind of has to switch it up between a couple. So we did that, and we try to do it that way. But of course, we're still at home. So sometimes we still struggle a little bit, where Hannah will kind of be like, well, why do I have to do the schoolwork? I'm at home. And, we just keep explaining to her that her school's at home now, but she's 6 and she's in grade 1, and she just doesn't fully understand what's going on in the world. Of course, we've explained the pandemic to her, like, as much as we could, age appropriately. We're not gonna, like, scare the kid. And we've explained to her that, like, most kids are at home right now doing school. So she's, coming around to it, but she still kind of struggles with that. And that might just be something that we struggle with just because, school's in our home now. And we just have to keep on working on it with her. But I don't really know if this is even something that's like because she's on the lower end of the spectrum, or if it's just an issue for all parents out there, because, it makes sense to me that kids that aren't on the spectrum would also be kind of feeling that too, right? Like, they're in their home, they're in their own bedroom, they're not in a classroom. So it's almost like they're like more comfortable in a way. And that can almost create a little bit of a problem, but then you can also kind of twist it to use it to your advantage. So that's what we've been trying to do, is kind of trying to make it a comfortable school environment in her room and the living room, because you can only work with what you got. And yeah, so that's been a struggle. But the really great thing is that at least her teacher is really neat. Her teacher is very, very great with her, completely understanding. And we have a system where if Hannah needs to take a little break, then she just lets the teacher know. She gets a 2-minute break because this is necessary. My daughter has to have a break in the day where she goes and she naps for a while, or if she doesn't nap, then we just read stories together, but usually she has to be alone for it. Or I'll just put on a show for like an hour in a room, and she has to have this chill out time. Because if she doesn't have the chill out time, then we're just not going to have a good rest of the evening. And that's what happened to me on Halloween when I was streaming with her, is that I had just put her down and she had come out about 5 minutes later. And I was like, no, you're not supposed to be out from your nap yet. You haven't been in there for long enough. Like, you need to go for an hour, because I have to get her to stay on the same schedule at all times, whether we're in school, out of school, whether it's a weekend. That part of her schedule has to be the same. She was already a little late because it was Halloween and we wanted to have a fun night. So it was like, kid, you got to go nap. So that's been okay during school. So we've been able to give her a rest time, except because there's always going to be except Hannah has an extra class a couple days a week. And those days are Tuesday and Wednesday. So yay, the next 2 days will be fun. And so my kid doesn't get a break, one of her breaks. And that is kind of an issue for me and my family. Me and my family are literally like, so we see nothing has changed. With what? I'm having a conversation about COVID and homeschooling. Like, what? Nothing has changed. No, we're still on lockdown. We're still going to be on lockdown for a while. And we are still homeschooling our kids over the computer with teachers in their classroom. So, no, nothing has changed. And so, Hannah, when she has her extra classes on Tuesday and Wednesday, she misses her, like, one of her break times. And her break times are usually an hour long, so it ends up being perfect. And me and her teacher have worked out that she gets to actually have those as a break time, because for one of them, they're supposed to be doing a bit of schoolwork. So what we do is we do the schoolwork right after she's done school. We do that. And then I send it to her teacher. So we've worked that out so that she can have those breaks, because without them, she gets very moody and she'll start to test and she won't be listening to the teacher. It gets disruptive for the rest of the class. And my daughter has been kicked out of class before because she has been having a meltdown, and I've basically had to like tell her teacher, I'm sorry, we have to go. And luckily, like I said, her teacher is absolutely fantastic and understands everything about her and just understands Hannah completely as a person, it seems. I really like her teacher. That's like one of the great things about this, is that her teacher is fabulous. And we've lucked out. We've had amazing teachers with our daughter since we've been in school. She got to have the same teachers for junior and senior kindergarten, which was super great for her because, she doesn't like change. So that was really great. And so the only good thing about being at home is that the transition to get a new teacher went a little bit easier. Because I was actually really scared that her getting a new teacher in grade 1 would throw her off, because she really loved her other teachers. But I think that her being at home and it being on the computer, she almost like understood it had to be someone different. So it didn't really like affect her. And I just never mentioned it to her because it was like, don't put it in her head if it's not going to affect her anything. So I just kind of waited to see if she would, not like the change, and she seemed to embrace it fine. So I think that helped us, because otherwise I'm not sure how it would have gone, like going into the school and then being in a whole brand new class. Hopefully we all go back to school soon, and that will obviously have to happen. I mean, when we do all return our kids to school when this is over. But I am a bit grateful that, this year that went smoothly, and that her teacher is absolutely fantastic. And we had a meeting at the beginning of the year, like about Hannah, so that I could just go over everything with her. And she obviously has her files, and we were getting her tested. We're in the process of it right now. So she doesn't have a full diagnosis yet. And this is where things get hard for us. We were right in the middle of her testing when COVID hit, and I've said this before. So everything had to be put on hold, and that's because the part of her testing is her social skills. And they have to have her in a classroom setting with the other kids, and they like to watch her like for several days and take notes and analyze and all that kind of stuff, which is great. That's what they should do. I am all for them being thorough and, doing it properly, please. But since we are not in the school, that can't really occur. At least they're not ready to have it occur yet. I am in the process of talking to, the school board and everything, and they're arranging just now for educational assistance to be available. But again, I would have to have her diagnosis before I could go and arrange that. So that's why I am a little bit grateful that I am home and that I can kind of step in and just do the EA job instead of freaking out right now about not having one. And But the problem lies in, as every parent knows, your kids listen to you different. And when she does go back to school, she is going to probably have an EA, at least for a year, I'm guessing, just to help her out. She might need somebody. I mean, I can't take it off the table. I have to be open to whatever my daughter needs to help her, because I don't care what she needs, we'll do it. Just make sure that she is learning well, doing well, growing, progressing well, That's all I care about. That's what's important. So if we have to get her an educational assistant, then that's what we do. But with the testing and everything, like I said, it's on hold. And when she goes back to the school and we do get an educational assistant, it's not going to be me. And there's going to be a whole different listening process again. Y'all know kids listen to their moms and dads. Not at all compared to other people most of the time, actually. I mean, they act so much better. And this is kind of what I mean. And my daughter did have that, where she almost acted better when she was at school, with the teachers. And I feel like she wouldn't fight an EA like she fights me. Does that make sense? She might not fight an EA like she thinks she can argue with mommy. And so it's hard, because I almost have to become EA mummy during school hours and almost like separate myself just a little bit. Like, Hannah, I know I'm your mom, but right now I'm your educational assistant, and please just do your work. We have to pretend like you're at school, But she is a really great kid and she loves learning. So for the most part, it's been pretty easy. However, I have been using other resources galore. Um, Now the school's been really great and they have provided us with some, but I know that everyone else out there is not as lucky. So, what I've decided that I'm going to start doing is on my Instagram, I'm going to start posting up a bunch of the websites that I use. I use some YouTube channels, I use several websites. I've seen a lot of people asking about extra stuff. And there are some really great educational websites out there. I'll post them up for the UK. I can post them up for Canada. I can post them up for the US. If you're anywhere else and you would like me to post them up for that place, just let me know. And I can start posting that up. I think that maybe that would be a great idea. I thought about going through and just going through it on the live tonight, but I really wanted it to be more of a conversation, and I think it would be helpful if I actually posted it up somewhere. You know what I mean? So I have opened up my Instagram to be public again. So you can take a look at that, and I hope that that can help some people, because I know that the extra resources we have been using have really helped us. We kept up with school. Like, I did an activity with her every single day over the break. Over the summer, I was doing stuff with her. And when we went off at the beginning of the pandemic and there was no plans and school just kind of ended, this is how I found all this stuff, right? I went, oh no, my kid might get behind, especially, I mean, I have to be honest, she could easily fall behind. And so it became, how do I ensure that she's ready for, grade 1? Because grade 1, it was her first grade school year, and boy, did we ever do a lot to prepare her for it. And we were doing stuff to prepare her for it. And then, like I said, senior kindergarten just kind of ended right away. And it was like, oh no, what do we do now? So I went on a search and I searched for every single skills. I have pages for math. I have pages for science. I have stuff for even art crafts and everything. And I think I'm just gonna do up like a little, I'll do it up like a Canva slideshow, and I'll do like, here's some really amazing websites for math, and I'll do it in like a few different age groups or something. And I'll do science, and I can do some art stuff and post that up. And if there's anything else that you want, then let me know. I will also do English, of course, language skills stuff. There's also some really great YouTube channels. So I just wanted to put that out there, that actually, if you just go on to here, our platform that we on right now, so I know you use it because you watching me on it right now, and you go in the search bar and you type in education, senior kindergarten education, grade 1, and you can find some really great stuff. Now, of course, there's going to be a lot of crap stuff. So, a lot, go through, and of course, I'll also do a thing up. I kind of started it today, which is why I wanted to do this live. Because I was going through, and to be honest, one of the fellow anti-MLM creators did a post up actually on her page asking if there was, anywhere that she could maybe get some resources. And I had seen so many of my friends asking, and other people that I don't even know asking on social media, because again, we all went into another lockdown, and all of our lockdowns are different lengths, and we don't know what's going on, or if we're even going back on the 11th, and if it will quit, or whenever you're supposed to go back. So I had kind of started to put it together. And so when she had posted that up, I actually had a few, and I just went right in the chat. I was like, here you go. I got a few for you, girl. You had a great time. And then I was like, do you know what? I'm just gonna like actually make some documents up like this and post them on my page, because I've talked about it a few times on YouTube now. People know that, I'm doing it at my house all year. So, I thought it would be helpful. And there's nothing wrong with helping each other through this time. Nobody has ever gone through this before. We're the first parents that have ever gone through a pandemic where we have had to take our kids out of school and then suddenly become teachers and homeschool them. It's a lot to go through. It's extremely stressful. And no, you are not a bad parent if you're stressing out right now. Stop the parent shaming. Parent shaming is stupid. And just don't do it to yourself. Don't do it to yourself. Because if you're giving yourself a hard time for stressing a little bit right now, you're technically shaming yourself. We're all a little stressed right now. None of us have it together. We just all hide it in better ways than others, okay? We're all going crazy at home right now. Most of us are going stir crazy, because have you ever had a 6-year-old in a house and then you can't leave the house for several months? Yeah. So, it's been hard, and not having the Christmas break and being able to like send your kid back. I'm sure a lot of people felt that. And like I said, again, with work, I don't know how parents are dealing that work outside of the home. I really don't. Kudos to all of you that are working outside of your homes, that have to deal with taking off extra time or anything like that, and working out babysitters, working out whatever. Kudos to you, because this is the hardest time, honestly, for you guys, because I don't know what I would be doing if I was at my last job and then this stuff happened. I would have been screwed. I wouldn't have been able to take time off at my last job, and I would not have been able, and I don't have family in my area at all, and I don't have people in my area that, could come watch my child. So I would be screwed. I'd be completely screwed. I would have to quit my job and then do what I'm doing now. And I'm sure there are people out there that have actually had to do that. And that sucks. And so I'm very sorry if you're one of those people, and just know that we're thinking of you. And we're with you. And we're all stressing, but yes, you definitely have had a hard run. Because like I said, I don't know how I would be dealing with that right now. It would be hell. So, be strong, get through this. And I think that as fellow parents, we all need to really come together and support each other in this time. Call up your girlfriends, call up your family members with kids, ask them how they're doing. Even especially if you don't have kids, please. If you got an extra night off, you can go babysit. Maybe offer to babysit. I know there's a pandemic and we're not all supposed to be like gathering, but hey, go get the COVID test. You test negative. Okay, go watch your friend's kid for a night. Let them go to the bedroom and just binge watch Netflix and not have to worry about their child for a night. They need it. Okay, they need it. Do that for your friends and call up your friends, ask them how they're feeling, vent to each other, talk to each other. Make sure that you're reaching out to people. I know we're in a pandemic. Everybody's getting a little bit depressed. I know I am. I've obviously have hit depression throughout this last year. So just know that it's okay to say you're struggling. Reach out to your friends, reach out to family members, and support each other. Help each other out. And I'm going to get a bunch of resources together. I'm going to post them on Instagram. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I really want to say, really want to rant about. I mean, how is it going for you guys? Is there anyone that wants to have a chat? Come on, talk about their experience with homeschooling and COVID, because it's been hard. Yeah, no, nobody wants to come on, and that's fine. However, I just thought I wanted to do this little live. I just wanted to kind of have a little rant because sometimes I just like to talk about struggles because there's people in this world. I used to feel really alone when I struggled in my past, but like before I had family and people I could depend on in my life. So I used to always feel very alone. And I think I just don't want anyone to feel alone out there. It's like, it's okay to be like, this is really fucking hard what I'm doing right now in this pandemic, homeschooling and trying to work and dealing with all this, and it's okay. And everybody is struggling in their own way with this pandemic. Even if you don't have children, you're going through struggles with this. Christmas was very hard. It was hard, I'm sure, for people to not see family members. I don't really know what that's like, but there's people that really always spend Christmas with their families, and this was the very first Christmas where they could not see their family members and their loved ones. And then the pandemic hit. I got to be honest, I'm a little bit worried about people because when it comes to mental health, that could probably be one of the worst things that could happen. A lot of people get really triggered and don't like Christmas, and I get that, but a lot of people out there also look forward to it. And Christmas is kind of, that time when they get to go and spend time with their family. A lot of people don't see their family often, so that's often one of the main times that they go home and visit is like Easter and then Thanksgiving and Christmas. But no matter what, it's always Christmas. And so I feel like this year has been the hardest year for mental health in my 34 years of life. I don't think that we have ever had a shittier year than 2020. And then 2021, although it started off a little bit better because, at least we kind of already knew what was going on. So it was like, well, we know we're still in a pandemic right now. So it wasn't as much of a surprise, I guess, as it was when it started. Because for some reason, it was a surprise at the beginning of 2020, even though, well, we just won't get into that. But I'm worried about people right now because, if you don't get to see your family at Christmas and that's something you really look forward to, and then, something happens, like you can't go back to work and it's because you have to stay home longer now with your child or something, I just get worried about people. So I think that it would be good if we had some open conversations about these topics, things like homeschooling. It's okay to say you're struggling with things like mental health. It's okay if you're like, I'm struggling in mental health. One person who I really appreciate out here actually is Ready to Glare. I really love her content, obviously, because she's my type of bitch. But not only that, but she is really, really amazing at being honest about her mental health. And she does these great videos where I mean, they're not, I don't, it's kind of weird to use the word great because it's not great that she's feeling the way she's feeling when she's doing the videos because she's usually down for it. Um, but she does do these really great, honest, genuine, truthful videos about her mental health, and the comments underneath these videos. I've scrolled through them and it's just amazing to see all these people say that, you know, they're experiencing the same thing and that watching her video helped and that now they don't feel as alone. So I just want to put it out there, you know, that's why most of us discuss our mental health and things like that. And right now, during this pandemic, it is so important. Like Tyler from YouTube says, hashtag mental health matters. Mental health is probably the main thing that matters, especially right now with the pandemic. And if you are homeschooling, okay, self care, very, very important. Put that at the top of your list because you have a lot on your plate right now. You got a lot more on your plate than usual. That means right now it is more important than ever to take care of yourself. And that includes your mental health. It includes making sure you're in a good mind frame, good emotional health as well. And part of good mental health and emotional health is getting support, whether it be from friends, family, a counselor, or even watching a Ready to Glare video where she talks about her struggles with mental health and makes you feel like you're not as alone because here is this amazing YouTuber who you absolutely adore. And if you don't adore, you will adore her, by the way, because go watch her. And she struggles, but she's still lit. You know, she's still lit. She's a good person. She still does her stuff. Creative healing arts and recovery matters too. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Creative arts would matter. And definitely if you're recovering, then that would definitely. I'm all about art therapy. Art therapy is extremely good for you. And actually, when I was doing an outpatient treatment program when I was 19, that was a big part of our program. We actually had an entire like hour dedicated to art therapy. Very, very helpful. And definitely, teachers definitely weren't being paid enough, is what Stacy Bobble said. Right? I know. We're finding that out now. We're like, oh God, this is what they did. But then they had all the kids. We just have our kids. So, I mean, it is worse for them. I wouldn't want to be a teacher. No. Like I said, I did the EA thing when I was in college as part of my placement. And it was really great. I worked in a high school, though, with children that were disabled. And it was honestly one of my most fun placements because the kids were so amazing. I just absolutely loved them. So they were all great. So I had a lot of fun doing it. But man, I don't know if I would want to do it for a whole job. It is a very, very hard job. Even being an assistant, a teacher's assistant. Yeah, no, they deserve the summer off. They work their butts off and they deal with like 30 of my kid at the same time. And I don't wish that on anyone, man. So Yes, hats off to the teachers, because, if you didn't know what their jobs were like, you definitely do now. And I think a lot of us after this experience are going to appreciate our teachers so much more. Maybe don't yell at the teacher if they're a little hard on your kid next year, because, remember remember what it's like. So yeah, I think that one of the best things to do right now is, don't be so hard on yourself either. We're all kind of struggling. We're all getting through this the best way that we can. And I promise you that, if you have a few hard days of school here and there with your kid doing all that, don't be hard on yourself, okay? Like, remember, kids have bad days. Kids have bad days. Parents have bad days. You got to remember, too, kids are little mini humans. So they have emotions. They have bad days. They have days where they don't want to go to school. They wake up, they're too tired, they're grumpy. And I think that having her at home, I've been able to at least pay attention to that. Like, what kind of day are we having today? Is she grumpy? Okay, well, then I can I like to try to make the school a little bit more fun with her then, right? So then I'll be a little bit more upbeat and high energy with her, because I know she's a little bit grumpy. So I'll kind of try and joke with her a little bit. That works for her. She gets giggling, and then she can't really be grumpy anymore, because my daughter's an absolute sweetheart. She's a really great kid, and she loves learning. It's just, of course, that's especially because we are having her tested for autism. So it might just be she is a little bit grumpy sometimes, and that's fine. And honestly, I don't even have a problem with her when she's like freaking out. So I don't know. My kid's pretty easy. I really can't complain, because even her meltdowns are pretty normal. She's just an amazing kid. Like, and it's pretty easy to calm her down too. Like, we don't ever have a time where she's like going off and we don't know how to bring it back. And she's pretty simple to bring back. It's just the initial meltdown that we usually have an issue with. Like, if she's on with her class, sometimes she'll kind of unmute herself and I won't be able to stop her, because she's a quick kid now with the computer. She has learned the computer, and that's what I mean. She's crazy intelligent. She learns very quickly with things. So she's already learned the whole computer and how to use it. So, she's quick, and she'll unmute herself, and then she'll kind of get angry at the teacher, and because the teacher maybe won't pick her to answer the question. And she has a hard time with that sometimes, because she's an only child too, so she's not used to sharing the attention of the person that's in charge. And that's another thing that we have to kind of work on with her, because we have to say, Hannah, this is not all about you in this class. They're the other kids. And then she'll be like, oh, okay. And then the next time she'll say, I'm not going to answer this one, mommy, because I want to make sure someone else gets a turn. And I'm like, good job. So, we're working on that. But it's just like the initial freak out, right? She'll unmute herself and she'll be like, yell something at the teacher, and then the teacher's trying to calm her down, but sometimes she gets a little bit too uppity, and then I have to kind of be like, I'm really sorry, we gotta take a break. And the teacher will be like, that's fine. And then we come back in 2 minutes and she's fine. And the teacher and I have arranged that for her. So like I said, it's more so that she doesn't disrupt the whole class, and we can just kind of go calm her down. She usually just needs to take a little tour around the house. We let her do some laps. She's an energetic kid, so it'll be like, do you need a body movement break? Go run around in a couple laps. Let's go play tag for a minute, and then giggle a bit, and then she's back on. And the teacher will email me anything that we may have missed if there was like an activity in that time, and then we have it handed in at the end. So like I said, And that's another thing too with the homeschooling thing. Make sure that you are actually talking to these teachers. I don't care if your kid's in high school, I don't care if your kid's in grade 7 or if your kid's in senior kindergarten. Please do like keep track of your child's school and their grades, and also like communicate with the teacher. It's probably one of the most important things, especially with the homeschooling, because you can write your kid's teacher, you can email them, and you can say, like, if you don't want to take my advice, you don't want to come look at my post on Instagram in a few days, I'll probably have them up. Give me like a few days. I want to like do them all up and then I'll post them all. And basically and I'll also make them a story too. I'll like put them on their own story too, so that you don't have to come and like scroll through my page to find them in a couple days. Although I'm trying not to post as much. But the other thing about all of this too is like the end of the day. Does anybody have trouble with the end of the day? I feel like the end of the day is probably the easiest part for us, but sometimes Hannah really wants to stay with her teacher. So we all have trouble cutting it off. But I think that the best thing to do, honestly, is to stay in contact with the teacher. Email them. Ask them. They probably have all kinds of websites you can use as well. And then after school, work with your kids. Make sure they got their homework done and stuff like that, because I don't know. I think it's the best thing to do. You just got to do your best, and communicating with the teacher is a great way too to know if you guys have fallen behind on anything, if you have missed anything. I'm always there. So, but I do know that there are some parents with older kids, and it's just a good idea to just double check, make sure your kids are doing what they're supposed to be doing. Because I know my kid has already tried to get out of a couple things. Because, like I said, I do have to leave her alone for a class or two because she has to learn how to be a little bit independent. So I'll kind of be right outside the door. So she thinks she's alone, but and I'm ready for if something happens, then I can run right in. But it's just like she tries to trick me, right? So she'll be like, "Oh, the teacher said that there is I don't have to write a sentence." And I'm like, "No, Hannah, like everybody has to write a sentence. The kids are smart. They will try to trick you to get out of things." And so yeah, if you talk to the teachers, then that's probably one of the best things to do as well. And I'm sure that also check your government education website, because they probably also have a list of other educational resources, and maybe even some that I haven't found yet that will be in my post. So, if you find any extra ones, you can send them to me too, and I'll include them. Because, yeah, I don't know. I feel like a lot of people are asking, and this was just kind of something that I wanted to put out into the world. It would just be a great resource place, and, maybe we could all help each other. Again, self-care, self-care, self-care. Don't be too hard on yourself. Make sure that you keep up with your kids' school and communicate with the teachers. That all helps. And it helps you not be as stressed about things as well. Because, as long as you're doing those things and you're doing your best, then you're doing fine. Like I said, remember, we're the first group of parents, to ever go through something like this. So trust me, none of us know what we're doing. Like the teachers don't even know what they're doing. And the government doesn't even know what they're doing. So don't be hard on yourself if you are struggling a little bit. We all have our days. And I think I'm going to end it there because I've been on here for like an hour, and I feel like, that was a good long enough discussion. I've shared some of my grievances, put them out into the world, along with some things I like about what's going on. I've let you know that I'm going to be putting together some, a resource on my Instagram page that you can come and check out. I want to say give me until Thursday. So by Friday, for sure, it will be up. I've already started, like I said. I already have all the websites kind of compiled. I'm just breaking them down into age groups right now. And I'll have one up for YouTube channels, but you can obviously go search on YouTube yourself, look up your child's grade, and then you'll be able to know. I trust you guys. You'll know what ones are good and what ones aren't good. Of course, everyone out here that uses YouTube knows you have to be careful with the kids' content. So if you have the YouTube Kids app, you can use that, but still make sure you watch those. One of my girlfriends had her son watching on the Kids app, and an adult show came on anyway. It was supposed to look like a kids show, but when it began playing, it was not a kids show. And she was not very pleased. So I always tell all of my friends with kids out here, like, make sure that even if you have the kids app, you're still kind of watching what your kids are watching. It's very important because that does happen, and that's scary. You don't want your kid to think that they're clicking on My Little Ponies and it ends up being like a My Little porno, because that's actually unfortunately a thing. Not my forte. I won't be discussing that, but I'm sure you can find somebody out here who does. So I did do a video today, an anti-MLM video. It was a lot of fun. I plan on having a really fun I Don't Work Here Lady video on Wednesday. So yeah, we're going to do r/I Don't Work Here Lady. And then on Friday, I think that it would be fun if we did a pseudoscience topic, because I have gotten a small influx of people that are really interested in debunking pseudoscience to my community over the last few weeks. And I just thought it would be fun. So I'm not going to tell you anything more than that, because then I'm going to ruin the surprise. But you should like this video, subscribe if you haven't already yet, turn on the notification bell to all so that you never miss a thing. And then we are going to be deep diving into some pseudoscience stuff, because I think it's fun. I enjoy looking at the business practices that rip people off. I enjoy helping people out of them. I have saved a lot of people from MLM companies and pyramid schemes in the last couple of years. I love doing that, but then I also like to dive into the occult. I like to dive into pseudoscience and just kind of take a look at everything. I am a STEM girl, so it's a lot of fun for me. I love real science, like the real science. Anyway, so I think that that's going to be a lot of fun. I am still planning on getting my series done. I know. I still have 3 episodes left. It's taken me forever, and it's just because with the COVID stuff going on, so much popped up in terms of the MLMs not listening, that it kind of went on the back burner, because I felt like that was more important in that time to discuss, because they were getting warning letters, they weren't listening, they were breaking laws, they were actually putting people in harm's way, and that was more important to discuss. So it did kind of go a bit on the back burner again. I know, I'm the worst. I'm the worst YouTuber in the whole world. So I am hoping to have those up by, mid-February. I can definitely now promise. And if I do not have them up, you can come to my house and kick the crap out of me and be like, bitch, put up the rest of that series. And I will be like, okay, yeah, I'm sorry. So yeah, I plan on getting that done by that time. And basically, yeah, until then, no matter where you are or what you're doing, I hope that you all have a fabulous, fabulous day. Take care. I'll see you in the next one. And don't let any scams get you. And like I said, don't be hard on yourself at all, for struggling in this time, because we all struggling. And maybe if we all come together and support each other, give each other some resources, give each other some advice, really make sure that we're all doing self-care. I've always been a really big self-care advocate, even if I am not the greatest at the time for myself. It's kind of how I keep myself doing my self-care, is also by advocating. We all do self-care. Then it reminds me to do my self-care. You know what I mean? It's just a win-win situation for all of us. So basically, I think that yeah, then you'll be fine. Don't be too hard on yourself. Self-love always, and bye. I know, bitch, get a new ending. I try.